All right, well, it is time to transition the garden from our spring and summer garden to winter garden, and that means doing some cutting. So, first off, our beans are done. The few that we have left are going to go to seed, and we may have some dry beans like the Scarlet Runners. Look at that sunset. Ooh, I like the color. Ah, the flashlight. I've made some films on the side, so sunsets on camera are, I have a weakness for those. But anyway, our tomatoes, they're doing okay. They were free to us from a friend, the place I used to work at. Nice organic varieties, and they've done well. They taste good, but the soil here is the soil we prepared for them isn't fantastic, and they're not going to make it. Many of them have a fungus on them. They're all slowing down. Many of them are rotting before they actually get ripe, just because of the time of year and the weather and the soil quality. So what we are doing is we are going to harvest the green ones. You can pickle or ferment green tomatoes. There's also fried green tomatoes. Both of those are really good. I suppose you could make kind of a green salsa with them as well. So there's plenty of uses for green tomatoes, so these are not a waste at all. But I'm not going to pull them up because the roots will still be good for the soil. The roots will keep the soil together. I am going to, however, cut down the plant. This feels strange, cutting down this plant. Let's see. There we go. Cut it down. So, the roots are still in the soil. And the reason we're taking them down now, besides the fact that the plants are pretty much done, we are going to put a cover crop in, which we got from High Mowing Seeds. We got a 5-pound bag of field peas and oat mix, and a 1 ounce bag of, no, this is not 1 ounce, the 1 ounce is, this is the shipper it came in, the 1 ounce is in there. Daikon radish, some more daikon radish similar to what we have in the beds here. The reason for this mix, oats and peas and daikon radish do really well. I'm going to go ahead and start picking these. Oats and daikon radish and field peas do really well this time of year in this climate. Now oats will not produce, if they're planted this late, you only do them as a cover crop. You don't grow them for grain because they will be killed by the hard frost. But oat silage, as in the stuff that's left over after you cut it down, it's really good for the soil. It's a good mulch, and the rotting silage is a good natural herbicide, so it will keep weed seeds from germinating and sprouting up during the winter and the early spring. While the oats are growing, they provide something for the field peas to vine up, because they are a vining plant, so they'll go up the oats, and the peas will produce, I think, they will produce before, we'll set this aside and give it to the chickens. I think the field peas will produce before the hard frost, and if it doesn't, at the very least, peas are a legume, so they will fix nitrogen in the soil, which is essential for plant health. And the radishes also fix nitrogen, and they are good at breaking up clods of soil because their roots drill down deep, as well as producing a lot of greens that we can continue to eat through up until, you know, the first frost, or maybe even later. So that'll be nice. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm going to chop these down, and then we'll show the next step. All right, so here's a bed where nothing much came up. There's a beet. There's a beet. This is in desperate need of a cover crop for winter. So, take the dirt. Now I'm doing this one-handed, so let me see if I can get this set up. Well, anyway, here, let's do this. There we go. All right, so we scratched this up, and I'm going to do that for the rest of the bed. And then we plant the cover crop, and here's how we're going to do that. turn this around. Hi. All right, so take the cover crop, turn it around again. Boy, this is going to be interesting in the edit room. All right, so see here, those little grain things are oats. The big ball-shaped things are field peas. Just scatter them a bit. Now, ideally, these would be about 3 inches apart. That's more like 3 inches. Like one here, one here, one here, one here, and then going up like that. But that is way too much work. So we just scatter them. Take the daikon radish right here, those little guys, and we just need one little seed every foot or so. If we get them a little too close or get two in the same hole, that's okay. There. Now, what this is going to do, the oats are going to grow up, the peas are going to grow up around the oats, and the daikon radish is going to grow down and out, and yeah, we'll see. So, to recap, the oats are good for compost, for mulch, the peas fix nitrogen, and the radish is also a good nitrogen fixer and will drill down and nourish the soil as well, and it produces a lot of greens, so we can have greens through the fall. Now, let's see if I can use the garden hoe one-handed. So, done the whole bed. Gonna take that, just kind of mix it up. Some of the seeds will be just on top of the soil. That's okay. It really is. There's going to be some loss, but at the, I guess the worst that could happen would be either the birds eat it, which means we fed the birds on the occasional leftover seed that didn't make it, or it doesn't germinate, in which case it degrades and goes down into the soil, or maybe it kind of germinates and doesn't really do very well, in which case all of the nutrients that it took from the soil now go back into the soil. So we're good anyway. So, get those all covered up. So that's about, I did from here to about here. There's an oat that isn't covered. There's an oat that isn't covered. There's a pea that isn't covered. That's okay. Next we get to do the thing that we wish we could all do when we were kids. We get to step on it. Yes, my feet are dirty. If you ever do gardening, your feet will be dirty too. So, you just step on it. Not hard, you're not packing it down. It just helps to push the dirt down. Just do it gently. I try to stay away from the edges of the raised bed because I don't want to collapse it. So I'm just going to keep doing that across the whole bed, but for the sake of the video, I'll just stop right here for now. So let's hop off. Well, not hop off. Alright, so that's what it looks like tilled up, or not tilled up, I really just scratched it up. This dirt has been very dry. We haven't had a lot of rain very recently, plus raised beds drain pretty quickly. So I'm going to water this, combining it with some of the Dave's Fetid Swamp Water that I may do a video on later. It's basically a watery compost sort of thing. Almost like a compost tea, but not. If you're not familiar with compost tea, don't be scared. It's not a tea that you drink. It's a tea for your garden. Yeah, but that's a different video. And there are plenty of videos of that on online. So, that's what it looks like, just scratched up. That's what it looks like. Not much difference on camera, I'm sure. But yeah, so after this, I'm going to water all of the beds, give them a little bit of that natural fertilizer with the swamp water concoction. And I will probably do an update when these start coming up, which may be, actually I don't know when the germination is. But yeah, so the plan is that, let's see, we've already done those all the way up to here. We're going to let the beans dry out and go to seed. I've already cut down all the tomatoes. There's some more beans, some tomatoes, and cabbage beyond that. Basically anywhere that there is currently bare dirt, or really any bare dirt up until, let's see, well, this mix I'm planting until Wednesday, and then the rye is going to go in, I need to check my records, but I think it's the last week of October. So yeah, that'll be interesting, and I will do an update on this bit when the crops start coming up.